Okay, Ray says, "Hey Bradley, what's going on? I have a question regarding making offers to our clients. So recently, one of our existing clients wants to expand his business to a city nearby his main city. Let's see, are you guys still seeing me or hearing me? Okay, let me get a. Can somebody confirm in chat? My computer just did something weird. I want to make sure you guys are hearing me. Okay, Chris, if you're still on, can you confirm? Okay, I'm flying blind here. If anybody in chat can comment, am I still live? Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna keep moving. This will go up as a recording if nothing else. Thank you, Cecilia. I knew I could count on you. Thank you. Somebody was paying attention. All right. Thank you guys. All right. So back to this. Hey, Bradley, what's going on? I have a question regarding making offers to our clients. So recently, one of our existing clients wants to expand his business to a city nearby his main city, and he's asking me to make a GBP listing for him in the city he wants to expand to. Upon telling him there's going to be a setup fee for this GBP listing, he said if he was to pay to get the listing set up, he'd like 50% ownership of the GBP listing. I don't feel like we're giving 50% ownership of the GBP listing away. I don't feel like giving that away, nor do I know what 50% ownership of a GBP listing looks like. At the same time, I don't want to set up the GBP listing for free. Thought about packaging the GBP listing up with the Google Ads setup and just charge him a flat setup fee up front in order to generate leads without mentioning specifically what the setup fee is for. Wow, that way he won't feel like he has to pay for the setup. How would you approach the situation? And if we were to set up a listing for this client and own it, how much would you charge? On the other hand, if you were to set up a listing for this client and have him own it, how much would you charge? Thanks so much. Okay, so yeah, so first of all, look, if you're going to be setting up a GBP or Google profile for a client and it's going to be branded for them, you might as well just set it up for them. I mean, yeah, you want to charge them because there's a cost to it, right? There's a cost whether you're hiring a vendor to do it or if you're doing it yourself. There's a cost, so you should charge them for the setup fee regardless, right? Um, period. But what I'm saying is, if it's a branded GBP for his brand, I don't know that I'd want to mess with trying to take partial ownership of that. And like you said, how do you do what does 50% ownership of a GBP look like? I don't know. I'm sure you could make some sort of arrangement to work that out, but why? That's a lot of additional complexity that I don't understand why anybody would want to do that. It just why make your job harder? Right? It doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm not picking on you, Ray, just so you know. I'm just saying, like, in both for him and for you, right? For your client and for you, that seems to be overly complicated for no reason. So don't do it. If it's a branded GBP for their brand, just let them own it. But yeah, charge them for it because that's, you're going to set it up. So charge them for it. But I would let them own it. It's their brand. What are you going to do with it if they decide they don't want you anymore? Right? If you go try to rebrand it, it's going to likely require re-verification anyways, or suspension. And how are you going to re-verify it if you're no if you're changing the name and you no longer are associated with the business and the physical location that it was originally verified under? How are you going to re-verify it? You know what I mean? So, like, my point is, why bother with all that? If it's branded for their brand, just give it to them, right? I don't mean for free, but charge them and they'll retain ownership of it. You're going to be managing it, but they're going to retain ownership of it. If you're worried about that, like as far as the work that you do, there's and losing all of the effort that you put in, if they decide they don't need you anymore, there's a number of other things that you can do to optimize their Google business profile with but benefiting a lot of your own assets and your own agency as well, which is precisely what the directory hybrid agency is all about. Like, literally, it's specifically so you're using your clients' budgets to benefit your brand and your assets at all times, even though it also benefits them, right? So anyway, um, interestingly, we've had some discussions in our DHA beta group. Thanks to Cecilia, she had a really good idea about potentially making an offer where you do a kind of pseudo branded GBP or like your own directory, your own, like in my case, I call it the directory agency brand, but the directory brand GBP. So in other words, you set up a GBP that is branded for one of your brands, okay, and then but but it's at for the client's benefit. In other words, that's where you own the GBP, but you can strike an agreement with them to where as long as they're paying you whatever the agreement is, that you're going to they get exclusivity of the leads generated from that GBP. So in other words, that's kind of again going back to the directory hybrid model. And why do I call it the directory hybrid agency, guys? It's because we want to strike a balance or a hybrid between traditional SEO retainer, like traditional SEO under retainer, where you're optimizing your client's brand and profiles, right? Or in lead gen, it's a hybrid between the two. And lead gen is where you own the assets, right? So the point of the directory hybrid agency is to have a hybrid of the two, where you can monetize any contact regardless, because you can offer them lower cost lead generation if it's through your assets, or higher cost lead generation if it's under kind of traditional retainer based services, if you're doing SEO on their brand. So you can offer either or both, really. Does that make sense? And so the point is with the I really like Cecilia's idea. Now I have not tested this yet, but I assure you we will be. And over the next several months for Tree Care HQ, my own agency, we're going to be testing some of this. And that is, listen, tell your prospect, your client, look, here's an alternative. Here's another option. We will create a GBP under one of our brands, and we will give you all of the leads. So long as we're under agreement, right? Whatever that is. And if the client decides that they want to stop paying for those, or paying the monthly retainer, or however you monetize that, then it's written into the agreement that you retain control of the GBP. It's yours. It's under your brand anyway. All that you're doing is guaranteeing them exclusivity of the leads while the agreement is in effect. That is it. But in that case, I wouldn't charge them for that. I would go ahead and just set that up on your own, because you're going to own the asset. Again, you can, though. Don't get me wrong. Typically, I wouldn't, but you could. You could say, there is a fee for this, and tell them that it's a hard cost on your end. There's a hard cost of time, if nothing else, right? So anyway, but what I'm saying is, if it's going to be a GBP that's branded for them, then I would charge a setup fee, and I would explain to them very clearly, hey, you're going to own this, but yeah, there's going to be a cost to this. If it's a GBP that you're going to set up under one of your brands instead of theirs, then you can still charge them, but charge them half or something like that. Half of what you would do if you were going to set one up for them, and tell them, and listen, I wouldn't be setting this up unless it was because you requested it. But because we're going to set this up under our brand, we're going to own it and control it. But as long as we're under agreement, whatever that agreement is, we're going to send you all of those leads, and you'll be the exclusive beneficiary of the leads generated from this location, if that's clear. But Mr. Prospect or Ms. Business Owner or whatever, if you decide that you don't want to use our, continue paying us, then we have full rights to the GBP, because you will own and manage it anyway. If that makes sense. So that's how I would do it. Again, I would not get into the weeds of trying to do a 50-50 splits on any of that. It's either they own it or you own it, period. It's the easiest way to do it, in my opinion. So anyway,